name is Will Carpenter. I'm Vice President for the Merrimack Valley Chamber, have been for many years. It's my pleasure to serve the business community in this capacity. We are an organization of over 1,000 businesses, including over 75 to 90 nonprofits, which is why this chamber has developed a nonprofit program as part of our component of work. We're a multifaceted business group. We have government affairs, human resources, morning networking, noontime networking, evening networking, economic development programs. The list goes on and on. We're an award-winning chamber, as you can see. We're the winner of the Massachusetts Municipal Association Award, the Massachusetts Economic Development Award, the Northeast Economic Development, which involved every state from Washington, D.C. up to Maine. Your chamber won that annual award just last year, and the New England Association of Chambers Economic Development. So, again, if you're a member of the chamber, you're in with good people. If you're not a member of the chamber, you might want to consider joining.
Will, they can call me at any time and I'll tell them why it'll help them.
And Dennis is on our board of directors, and he also chairs the chamber's ambassadorship program. And thank you for mentioning that, Dennis. See me afterwards if you're interested in joining and you're not a member. As you know, this is a free program. It didn't cost you any money to be here today. The chamber believes in doing that periodically, particularly for our nonprofit series, to help the nonprofits come in, enjoy the program, enjoy a breakfast. It's on us. And I want to mention also on our host and sponsors, who happen to be these fine folks here, John Volconti and Don Mortimer. And this is a success story right here. Company started not that many years ago, right, John? 10 years ago. And Don, who is co-owner of the company, was just listed in the list of Book of Lists as the 90th largest woman-held business in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So again, our congratulations to KDSA and the Chamber's new Merrimack Valley Chamber Means Business program. And at this point, it's my pleasure to introduce a very good friend of the Chamber, Dr. Don Rule. He's an expert when it comes to nonprofit management and development. Give Dr. Rule, oh, and also an accomplished author with Survival Fundraising. You have another book too, right?
Couple, yeah, but
A few
this
of
is the
them.
latest, yeah.
But this is the latest, Survival Fundraising for small nonprofits. Please welcome Dr. Don Rule.
Wait, Rachel wants to talk first.
Oh, Rachel, I didn't know.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Doctor. This is Rachel. She's going to speak, I guess, on behalf of the owners, Mr. LeConte and Don.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Rachael Chambers. I'm the marketing intern for KDSA. Now, at KDSA, we're all about relationships. Our goal is to be a trusted advisor for human services and healthcare organizations. We manage their IT systems. In addition to that, we provide project management, we provide cloud services, and financial reporting. So if you're interested, excuse me, sir. Thank you. So if you're interested, we have a packet with further details. And lastly, if anyone's interested in taking a tour, we would love to show you our networking operating center. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And thanks again to KDSA for hosting us today. And now, without any further hesitation, Dr. Don Rule.
Well, thank you, Will. This is really, it's a real honor to be here this morning. We started off, we came in and we had a photo session. And of course, you know my dear friend Joe Bivalacqua. Joe wanted to be sure that the new sign got into the photograph, so we had to take several. It was really a photograph of the sign, not the people. Actually irrelevant. But this is great, and I congratulate the firm here for having such a wonderful facility. I'm a little disappointed because Will, you know, who is quite a singer. I don't know, how many people here have ever heard Will? You know, he sings every year at the annual chamber dinner. He starred in that movie, The Wedding Singer, and, but he's refused to sing today, and that's a real disappointment to me. But Will does a fabulous job here. Well, what I hope to do today, of course, the title of this talk was a bit misleading. Joe and I talked about how can we get anyone to attend this session. And one of the magic words, of course, is secret. Because people always want to know what the secrets are. And I hope there are a couple of things we talk about today that you will find useful, practical, and helpful as you go about your business as a nonprofit organization. In the material about this program, the statistic in there that almost 25% of all jobs today in the United States are in the not-for-profit sector. I don't think most people have any clue about that. Also, I wanted to mention, Will mentioned that this program was free, so I share with you, I don't know if you know David Ogilvy, who is one of the most famous advertising guys, lived in a castle in Paris in France, and he said the two most powerful words in advertising are free and new. And that's sort of an interesting thing to keep in mind. New can be used in many different ways, and as you travel around, it's sort of an interesting thing to look at all the ways in which new, just arrived, that kind of thing, is used. And free, I was telling someone recently, I remember teaching a course in management at Northern Essex Community College, and the textbook cost $125, and on the back it said, free CD inside, which I always thought was rather interesting. So you see that, so free and new are very powerful words. I want to thank you, the fan, what happened to, oh there it is, because my notes were, now what I'm trying to do today is to talk about 7 areas, and this will be, and I'd like to get some interaction too. 7 things that I think are critical in terms of the success, not only, however, of not-for-profit organizations, but of all organizations in general. And those of you who've heard me rant and rave before know that one of the points I always start with is the point of differentiation. That is, as a not-for-profit organization, you want to be unique, you want to be different, you want to do important things, you want to be able to communicate clearly about what you do. You don't want to be like everyone else. Now it's interesting, this is true, of course, of people. You think of people who are, whether they're athletes, celebrities, the people who reach the top tend to be very differentiated. They have their own style, there's something about them that's unique, and it's true of organizations as well. In business, you don't want to be like everyone else. And certainly not-for-profit organizations, you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to have a unique identity. Peter Drucker, one of the most significant, I think, management consultants in the last 100 years, felt that the best run not-for-profit organization in the United States, well, there were 2 that he liked very much. The one was the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army is a wonderful example of a highly differentiated organization. People wear uniforms. You think of the kettle. You think of the brass instruments. The Salvation Army doesn't need to be afraid of working with other organizations and disappearing, because it's a unique organization, highly respected, and so that's a good one to keep in mind. Remember, you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be, and you want to have another problem oftentimes in terms of mission. I remember being asked to go down and review some stuff from a historical society. They were going to do a fundraising, and they gave me something to read, and the reason they wanted money was to buy wheelchairs. And that was a health organization, but the historical one was to buy acid-free boxes. Now, acid-free boxes are important in preserving things, but they really don't get people excited. If someone said to you, give me $100,000, you want to buy some acid-free boxes, probably wouldn't really turn you on. And the same thing with wheelchairs. We know that wheelchairs are important in moving people around. It's not something that grabs you. What grabs people in terms of mission is the impact your organization has on the human condition. Because all the organizations, as you introduced yourself this morning, all not-for-profits, the one thing they have in common is in some way they're involved in improving the human condition. So even though they're diverse, even though Harvard University is a not-for-profit organization, and a one-person shelter for the homeless is a not-for-profit organization, they're concerned, the thing they have in common is improving the human condition. And as you work in not-for-profit organizations, don't forget that you're actually part of a noble experiment, because the not-for-profit organization was invented in America. It's an American institution. In Europe, most of the things that you do in not-for-profit organizations are done by government. So the question is, one of the questions philosophically is, who can do it better? The government or a not-for-profit organization, which is a private organization with a board of directors who are usually volunteers. So you're actually part of a very interesting societal issue in addition to what you're doing. So differentiation. You want to be conspicuously different in a positive sense, and you want to appeal in your mission. You want to appeal to not only to the mind of the person, but to their emotions. You want to appeal to the heart and mind of the people, and you want to talk about how you're impacting the human condition, because that's what really turns people on, and that's why what you do is important. So that's enough of that. And I would ask you as you drive home today to ask yourself the question, how is our organization different? How are we different from other organizations that are doing similar kinds of things? Not only how are we different, but how are we different and better? What do we do that makes us better? And what can we do? And one of the interesting things that I would recommend to you is in the private sector, we always talk about shopping your competitors. And it's something that not nearly enough people do. If you're in a not-for-profit organization, you have a particular mission, but there are other organizations that do somewhat similar things. It's very good. I would argue you should go around and visit some of these organizations or observe them. What is the one thing that they do very well? Almost every organization does something exceptionally well. They may do a lot of things poorly, but what do they really do that's exceptional? And what can you learn from that? And how can you apply it to your own organization? Not the way they do it, but how can you apply it, modifying it, so that you retain the uniqueness of your organization, but these ideas that you get from other organizations. Not nearly enough people, in my judgment, shop around and look at what their competitors are doing. And so I would argue you should do that. Now the second thing I wanted to talk about is sort of walking the talk. That is doing what you say you're going to do. Very important. A perfect example, I think not-for-profit organizations have a special responsibility in terms of the way they treat their own employees. Because here you are, you're a not-for-profit organization, and you're in the human improvement business. But what if you were a not-for-profit organization that is concerned about other people, but you treat your own employees poorly? You don't practice what you preach. You know, we say we're a human improvement organization, but we treat our employees poorly. We don't motivate them. We don't encourage them. We don't take care of them. We don't do the things we should. So I would encourage you, all great nonprofit organizations, build, I think, a sense of community that's committing to the vision and mission of the organization. This is very important, and the way you do that is you do what you say you're going to do. You create a sense of integrity, a sense of trust. Trust. One of the great quotes, Warren Bennis, probably the leading guy today in the world in leadership, a distinguished professor at the University of Southern California, graduate of the Sloan School at MIT. Warren Bennis said, "Trust is the glue that holds organizations together." I don't know if you've ever worked at a place where people are stabbing you in the back, where there's little trust, where everyone's trying to tramp over someone else. It's not a place that you really want to be. Instead of focusing on your mission, on improving the human condition, on helping people, you're worried about survival. So trust, and how do you build trust? You build trust through action, through what you do. Yeah, we all know that if someone says something and does something else, what do we believe? We believe what we see the person doing. You know, it's a student who says, "Oh, this is an exciting lecture," and they're yawning. The thing we see is the person's yawning. They're telling us it's boring, but they're saying it's great. So that's why the most powerful form of communication, the most powerful way you can communicate to your people in your organization and outside is through your actions, through what you do, not through what you say. And you want to be sure, it's